How's it going, everybody? It's Riley's Redzone here, and in today's video, I will be predicting each Week 13 NFL game. Today's episode might be a little bit shorter, as I will be actually going overseas tomorrow, so this may be a quick recording because I have to get ready for that. But you'll likely be seeing this later in the week, but I still do have some guest picks this week, so thank you, Nick, for making these selections. Nick W. here is going to be making some picks, and thank you to him for getting these out early as well, because we do not have the benefit of the doubt of knowing some injuries that might happen, and even the Monday Night Football game is, I believe, just concluding right now. So, with that being said, I'm going to give my opinions and also what Nick's picks were today, as he handed me a piece of paper of what his picks were. So, we both agree that the Thursday night game will go to the Bills. The Bills, look good against the Lions last week. Close call, but the Patriots lose to the Vikings last week. I think this could be interesting, but we both kind of agree there. The Bills are a really solid team, and they keep it rolling against the Pats. Now, this next one, we do actually have a split, and I actually really like this upset for Nick here as a pick. I just am not quite willing to do it since I am taking potentially a few other upsets. It's real close. It's a 1-point spread right now. The Lions, honestly, if they didn't perform so badly at times, I think they'd be all right. But just sometimes I think that last week, even though they kind of kept it close against the Bills, there were some moments that just made me question what was going on. So I just don't quite have the confidence, even though the Lions, are just the kings of keeping games close but not quite finishing it. But this week, I'm taking the Jags. I like what they did against the Ravens. That end of the game was phenomenal. Not totally confident, though, like ETN, obviously kind of got injured last week, or, just ended up getting 3 yards, basically. Something was up there, but I like that pick for Nick, though. This next game is a game I definitely thought I might take the upset on, actually. If it was a betting the spread, I maybe would take the Jets, but I do think I have to go with the Vikings to stay safe here, although I think this will either be safer than people think, closer than people think, or, the Jets might end up taking this one, but I just, for the sake of the picks, have to go with the Vikes here to stay safe. I thought maybe that was going to be a little closer. I did pick them against the Pats last week, but that was real close, and I think that if they could get it done in that game, I think they might be able to get it done here, but that's going to be a close one. We both agree with this Steelers upset, at least at the time I'm looking at the spread, against the Falcons, and I think, this will be interesting, but I believe as it's happening here, is it final? Yeah, the Steelers actually did end up winning on Monday Night Football. I did pick them in that last week game as one of my upsets. The other two didn't work out, but at least we, hit an upset last week. So the Steelers, actually keep something going. I think TJ Watt will have another good game, and I'm going to keep it rolling there with the Steelers. They climb back a little bit. I don't love Kenny Pickett a ton, but you know what? If they can get some defensive plays, that's enough to get a win, and Nick thinks the same there. We're both taking an upset there. I believe that is our agreed unanimous upset there. Then I'll tell you what. I said it last week where I don't like taking a team like the Texans because they've lost so many. It's almost just a risk to pick them. I know this may sound like every game, but I absolutely would think about taking them in this game. It's going to be Deshaun Watson's return. I think Houston will actually have a lot of, kind of momentum, and just it's going to be interesting there. I do think Deshaun will be rusty. It'll be interesting because Jacoby actually, to me, played pretty well. But I know because you pay a guy that much, even with all the off the field, I think Cleveland's going to go with him. But I honestly don't think he's going to perform very well at the beginning. And I think if there's a team that might be able to stop him, Houston actually might have the inside edge. So close to picking that. I just can't for the record purposes, but I'm telling you right now, I would book it. I would for sure I would think they're at least going to keep it very close there, even though their record is not very good. I can't. The QB play, even switching to Kyle Allen, was not enough last week. If they had a competent QB play, I actually would think about taking him here, but I just can't have the trust in that offense right now. Now, we are split on an NFC East game. I was surprised to see the Commanders favored. I know they have been rolling these last few weeks with Heineke, but I'm going to go with the Giants. I think that it'll be an interesting game for sure. I'm just going to take the Giants because they're at home. Not super confident in the pick. They're pretty close. Both have shown sparks, but I think I'm going to go with the Giants once again, just kind of play it safe, but it is technically an upset there. But that one's going to be a close call. Now, this next game, for sure, you got to go with the Ravens, another team where I can't pick the Broncos anymore for a little bit till they actually prove they can do something because they lose to the Panthers pretty badly. And at that point, you got to be worried a little bit. So I'm going to go with the Ravens there. So is Nick as well. Now, this next one, I know this might keep biting me a little bit, but I've been kind of picking against the Eagles. Last week I picked the Packers, and they actually kept it close. If the Packers, didn't allow literally the Red Sea to part defensively against the run, maybe they would have had a chance in that game because it ended up being close. I think that Tennessee will do a better job, and they have their own run game to counter that. They couldn't quite pull off that win against Cincinnati, but I think that they can maybe get it done against the Eagles. I still think the Eagles have shown that, okay, they can be slowed down at times because we saw them kind of slow down against the Commanders and the Colts, and we also saw that, okay, you can keep toe-to-toe with them if you could maybe just stop the run a little bit, as we saw the Packers try to do last week. So I'm going to take an upset here. It's a little bit bold, but absolutely safe pick by Nick here to go with the Eagles. Totally understand that one. I'm taking a little bit of a risk here. Now, the Packers, it was a risk taking them last week, and I said I really wouldn't take them, but this is, I think, an easier matchup. But the next time the Packers are against, an above 500 team, I might have to rethink it. But for now, I'll stick with the Packers here, whether it's A-Rod or J-Love. I think that they'll be fine at QB against the Bears, who last week I think still could have been a good upset pick, but I ended up going with them. But unfortunately, their QB situation was terrible. But I think that the Packers pull out this one against the Bears. I like their chances better. Then Dolphins-Niners, and it was an interesting chat today with Nick as he was giving me the picks. And I think the Niners, I picked them in the preseason to go to the Super Bowl. I think are a team that remind me of last year's Bengals, where I think they're going to be a team, and I know the media is kind of jumping on it too, but I think they're a team that's going to be gaining momentum going into the playoffs, and you always want to be in that position. So I'm going to go with the Niners there. I think this will be real close, though. Mike McDaniel knows that offense. Definitely a decent pick to pick the Dolphins there. It's more so just I think the Niners, I believe, are at home, and I just like their weapons offensively as well, and I think that their defense might have a better showing, even though the Dolphins have a ton offensively as well. I think that's going to be a shootout, and I expect it to be a real close one. I'm going to take the Niners, and so that's going to be an important game, I think, to solve who gets the picks this week. We're both going Seahawks. Rams are just super short-handed. I liked Bryce Perkins, but he didn't do very well this last week, and also just they don't have enough weapons around him to really get anything going either. So I think we're both on the same page there with the Seahawks of why we're picking them. It's more so just the Rams are really short-handed. Now, perhaps the most interesting pick I saw Nick make this week is the Raiders over the Chargers. It's an interesting call. I definitely think that the Raiders, coming off that OT win, will have some momentum, but I still think that that the Chargers, at their best, have the ability to be one of the better teams in the league. But I can understand this one as well. It's interesting the spread was only about 3. I just feel like the Raiders have been mostly poor for most of the season, but they've been picking it up, I guess, with that overtime win. But I'm going to go with the Chargers. I just think at both of these teams' best, I think that the best of the Chargers is better than the best of the Raiders. Now, this next game I think might be the best game of the week, and I kind of just have to go to safe play. I would not be surprised at all to see the Bengals pull off a win, but right now I can't pick against the Chiefs. They are on fire. That Mahomes to Kelsey connection is fantastic. I just can't pick against them right now, so I got to go with the Chiefs, even though the Bengals are a huge opponent. Nick is on the same page as well. We're going to go with the Chiefs there. Then the Colts, Cowboys. The Colts, I like what they've been doing, but I think that the Cowboys will have too much offensively, and they still have Micah Parsons on defense, and they can line them up all over the field. I think that the Cowboys truly are a threat. In the NFC, they'll be pretty good. I definitely think that I would take them over the Colts, and Nick, who is a Cowboys fan, is on the same page there. And then lastly, we have the Saints and the Bucks. I'm going to go with the Bucks here. I just can't really trust what's going on with the Saints, so I'm going to go with the Bucks direction there. They've been playing better, even though they barely lose that game. As I literally last week was like, my almost upset of the week is the Browns beating the Bucks, and then they ended up doing it, but I didn't pick that, so I can't count it. But thank you so much for listening and watching, the picture this week. Next week will be a little bit more back to normal, but this one had to be a quick turnaround, as I will be out of town. But thank you very much for listening to this video, and I will see you in the next one.